Today's topic is celebrating miracles. It's the first day of Hanukkah, and that is a story about a miracle and more. But I thought, what a great thing to put our attention to today is all the miracles that surround us. So before we get started, let's just take a minute or two to get settled in and present. So let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine sparkling, clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, nourishing all your organs with vital life force. And as you exhale, exhale any tension or stress. Maybe you want to roll your shoulders around. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And this time imagine brilliant, bright light just lighting you up from the inside out, all your molecules, charging all those electrons, connecting you with the universe beyond. And as you exhale any stress, any negativity, just let it flow out and become present right here. Let's press our palms gently together. Softly rub your fingers against your palms and feel how wonderful that tickling and tingling sensation is. And then just let's allow ourselves to become present right here. Welcome. So miracles, I think, how do we describe miracles? Miracles are typically things that we don't have an explanation for, right? That we don't have an explanation that is scientific or proven or whatever. And I live for miracles, I have to say. Good morning, Rosalind. Welcome. We're talking about celebrating miracles today. And I think in order to celebrate miracles, we get to presence ourselves to them. And so much of what we take for granted in life from moment to moment to moment is truly miraculous. You know, if you think about just being able to take a breath, I've had challenges with asthma through my life. So I really recognize how big a deal it is to be able to take a breath. So to imagine that we can take a breath, that we have this mechanism in our body that allows us to take a breath, and that oxygen nourishes us, flows into our bloodstream, flows throughout our body, and somehow helps to keep us alive. It's really remarkable and unfathomable in a certain way. I mean, we may understand the mechanisms of it, but the fact of it is pretty miraculous. Just something that basic that we don't even pay attention to. And so Rosalind says, what's the difference between a miracle and a blessing? That's a good question. I think it's the difference is perspective. You know, maybe we consider our blessings miracles and our miracles our blessings. Maybe there's not a difference. For me, I think I consider blessings as gifts, and there's a gratitude around that. And with miracles, or what I presence myself to as miracles, it engenders a sense of wonder and awe from me. And I for me anyway, those responses of gratitude and wonder and awe are not the same. They're qualitatively different experiences for me, but they do both lead to a place of bliss of some sort. So I guess, you know, certainly I think it comes down to our own sensibility, our own context that we create. But yeah, so I mean, to be able to breathe is a blessing. The fact that breathing lights us up, that breathing keeps us alive, I think is kind of a miracle. Good morning, Dido. Welcome. I'm glad to have you here. We're talking about celebrating miracles. And I think that so much of our day-to-day is truly miraculous. I mean, how miraculous is it that we can take a seed and put it in the earth and water it, and it grows into a plant that we can get nourishment from, or that we experience beauty from, or, just the fact that that thing grows in the soil, it is really quite extraordinary and miraculous. And when we look at science, science has explanations for the mechanics of so many of these things, but not for the driving element behind it, not the driving energy or force that enables these functions to occur. Good morning, Tammy. Welcome. It's great to have you here. So I'm thinking of just how truly remarkable it is. I mean, think of how magical it is that we can chew something up, we can swallow it. Our body goes through all these processes to digest it, and then utilizes energy from whatever we've consumed, and then eliminates waste from that. It's freaking crazy, miraculous. It's amazing. Good morning, Tammy. We have Tammy Martin and Tammy Fisk. So it's a Tammy Day. That's awesome. Welcome. Great to have you here. So when we really presence ourselves, how about presencing ourselves to the miracle of sight? I mean, just that we see things in our world that we can interact with, and we see colors, and we are able then to interpret these things, at the foundation of all these processes. You can explain how sight works because the photons, react with whatever. Obviously, I don't know the scientific explanation and well enough to be able to express it. However, rods and cones in the eyes and all of that. But the thing is that there's consciousness that can interpret all these signals, the fact that all those signals are there, and that they somehow correlate with what's external to us, and that we can interpret it. It's mind-blowing, isn't it? I mean, it really truly is miraculous. And if we can presence ourselves to these remarkable things that we take for granted, then we can cultivate a sense of wonder and awe. And I don't know about you, but for me, the wonder and awe just lights me up. So Rosalind says TNT in the house. I'm not sure. Oh yeah, Tammy and Tammy. Yeah, there we go. TNT. It's an explosively miraculous day today, right? That's great, Rosalind. Thank you for that. So I mean, just let's take a minute to think into the miracles that we experience, and they become mundane experience, and we don't even recognize how insanely magical and wondrous these things are. Just how about that we're having this interaction. This is kind of amazing. It's amazing and miraculous to me that we can sit in front of this box, and somehow through stuff that's happening through the ethers, we're able to connect across the world, across time zones, and connect with people in an intimate way that we've never met in person. It's remarkable to me. Like I as you know, I have a coaching practice, and I've never physically met most of my clients in person, and yet we have this intimate, remarkable depth of connection. It's extraordinary and miraculous, really. So Tammy Martin says, laugh LOL, we got to start the weekend off with a boom. Yes, with TNT. I love it, Tammy. That's great. Yeah, and talking about miracles is definitely a boom. So let's join in that together. Like, what can you presence yourself to? Like, how about the miracle of the things that we conjure up in our imaginations, and the stories that we can create for ourselves and for others. The just the fact that we can feel sensation, the experience of sensation, the experience of thought, and this sense of intimacy with one another. How about walking? Walking is amazing if you think about it. Just being able to somehow locomote your body, like for you to say, I'm going to go over there, and boom, your body is all aligned with that function for you to be able to move from here to there. I mean, these things that we take for granted are miraculous. We don't need to see a burning bush, or to have manna fall from heaven to experience miracles. Just looking at nature and experiencing the temperature of a room, or the temperature outside, to be able to feel the wind, to be able to interpret that, to hear the ocean, to feel the sand under our feet, or the earth between our toes. I mean, these are all remarkable things. The fact that we can have language and make these noises that assemble into some kind of order that we each can understand and respond to. It's pretty miraculous. And you know I don't know about you, but my experience of presencing myself to the miracles of all of it, um, it lifts my heart. I can feel almost, I feel a visceral shift, like an openness to wonder and awe. And for me, I think that is, along with beauty, because beauty inspires that wonder and awe in me as well. Our freedom, beauty, wonder, and awe, those are probably three of my top values. And to realize that we can access this sense of, that we can access beauty and we can access wonder and awe so easily, simply by presencing ourselves to everything that's around us, and to be experiencing it with a newness, rather than the categories, or the boxes that we put things into. So for instance, and I know I've spoken about this before, but it's worth revisiting. Like, I can say, okay, this is a phone, and because I know this is a phone, I don't have to pay attention to what it is. But it's really quite remarkable if you just presence yourself to this thing, this box in your hand, that does all these incredible things and connects us in all different ways. It's really mind-blowingly, remarkably inexplicable. And why I say inexplicable is not because we don't have explanations for the mechanics, because we do. Obviously, people created the phone, and we know how to use the phone, and but the fact that all those things uh, combine to create this remarkable tool that we have, it's extraordinary. So I think the access to miracles is when we step back from the everyday assumptions that get us to, give us the capacity to accomplish all kinds of different things in the world. If we step back and just revel in the strangeness of it. Tammy Martin says mysteries and miracles. Indeed, mysteries and miracles, and wonder and awe. That's a great incantation. Mysteries, miracles, wonder and awe. That I could walk through my day with that pretty much every day, because that's, for me anyway, that's what brings a sparkle to my eye, and a curiosity. And welcome, Julie. Julie is in the house. we've got TNT, Tammy and Tammy here today, as well as Roslyn and Dido, and all of you who are also watching and listening. So it's a serious invitation to you from me to just step back and realize how truly miraculous our lives are, just in the moment. And hello, Annette. Welcome, welcome. Glad to have you here. And so let's share a miracle that we're just presencing ourselves to. I think when we presence ourselves to nature, sometimes it's easier to recognize how miraculous things are. I mean, if you've ever grown a garden, oh my gosh, it's crazy. You put these seeds in the ground, they get water and sunshine, and they get the nutrients from the soil, and they grow into plants that have food that we can, or that serve us with food. The food is a blessing. The fact that it all happens is a miracle. I mean, we live in the midst of miracles that we normalize, and there's probably so much more available to us if we were to allow ourselves to experience more of the wonder and the sheer joy of recognizing how impossibly brilliant everything that we experience is, in terms of its impossibility in a way. I mean, like I said, but we can look at science and we can see how the pieces fit together, and we can try and break it down to mechanics. But the thing is, we don't know what it is that's animating all this. Like, what's keeping our body together, especially if we're all space. What is it that I can cut myself with? If a knife is all space and I am all space, how does it happen that I bleed? How does it happen that I have conscious awareness and can be kind of grasping the rules of how to navigate this very robust world, in so many ways, and also not knowing how to navigate other things. If we step back from our assumed engagements, like our assumptions about how things are, and yeah, I'm sorry. I just got taken back to an experience that I had as a much younger person, with the hallucinogenic, and I remember just being captivated by the curtains, and just looking at the curtains and the colors in the curtains, and it seemed like things were moving. And what I'm talking about now is recapturing some of that magic, to be able, when we don't know. I was talking about not knowing and letting go of our certainty around things earlier this week. And if we can let go of our knowing about the thingness of something like this is a phone, if I can let go of knowing what that is, there's such richness available in it. Annette says plants also crave human interaction, talk, touch, etc. They thrive with it. Well, I am one of those people that talks to my plants, I have to say. And I read a book years ago, Annette, that was amazing. It was called The Secret Life of Plants, and have also seen some studies since that indicate that plants can actually anticipate what might happen, or that there's a learning thing where plants learn. And the experiment was where this plant was dropped a certain distance, and I think, I don't know if it was attendant with the sound or what, but it was dropped a certain distance, and it, somehow the plant anticipated, like they put these electrodes on the plant to see what's happening with the I don't know if it was the movement of fluids through it or what, but it responded, it contracted, it knew that this was happening. You know, the first time it experienced a lot of shock. The second time, maybe it experienced some shock. And then after that, having been dropped multiple times and discovering that it was okay, it didn't respond with as much shock. And so waking up to the broader universe of life and this web that we're in of intercommunication between everything, and like consciousness in everything. I've actually, I remember years ago talking with folks that had done a lot with crystals, and talking about how the rocks changed, the crystals changed in their time frame, not like in a million-year-old type transformation time frame, but that the rocks shifted, and that there's a consciousness of some sort that we're not necessarily attuned to, that's also in everything. I mean, I tend to believe that it is an alive universe, and that we have capacity to communicate in levels and in ways that we don't even conceive of. And maybe that's where we're growing into. Maybe that's what we're evolving into, is this connected consciousness where we're present to the life in all things. You know, if we think about matter, according to science at this time, is made of molecules and electrons that are in constant motion. And if there's this constant motion, then potentially there's this constant interchange that we can have with all things. And yeah, I mean, I think we're moving into another dimension of experience as we evolve and expand our awareness. And I think that wonder and not knowing is key to that. You know, releasing ourselves from our knowing of everything around us, so that we can dismiss it, and so that we don't have to engage with it, and to source that expansive wonder and possibility that is part of the unknown. So Annette says it's true 100%. Yes, absolutely. And we were talking about plants, but I think it goes beyond plants. I think it goes into the whole universe. And if we imagine, this is another thing that's coming up in physics now. Years and years and years ago, people believed that there was an ether, that there was that space was pregnant. In other words, with that space had had presence, that it wasn't empty, and then our science evolved into believing that there was just empty space, and now now there's a new theory in physics emerging that says, yes, indeed, there is no such thing as empty space, that it's all active all the time, and that there is this constant exchange. And so many of us that are spiritually oriented are like, yeah, yeah, of course it's like that, right? This is a live, a living environment. So Annette says, if you hug a tree or walk barefoot in the grass, you receive their energy, their connections to the universe. And they receive from us as well. You know, we I think we've been educated to believe, or conditioned to believe, that we are separate from nature, but we are part of nature. We are part of the world. We are not separate from nature. And of course, I mean, we are living creatures that have the same, that we're all in the same uh, snow globe together, right? And of course, there's an exchange. And we just get to presence ourselves to it. As we presence ourselves to the miracle of that exchange, then there's so much room for more richness in our lives, and more connection. And one of the things we talk about all the time here is connection to ourselves, to our heart, to each other, to the world. And and primarily, foundationally, we are of nature, and that is the essence of our being. We don't get to conquer nature. We are inextricably part of nature, and nature is our fundamental being. And as we presence ourselves more to that, we're going to interact differently with our environment, right? Because we recognize that it is us. We are it. There is no separation. We don't get to use it up and abuse it, right? We get to find a place of harmony and unity and respect and reverence for it as part of ourselves, as we find reverence and respect and connection with ourselves as well. And Annette says, isn't it just beautiful? Yes, it is. When we presence ourselves to it, it is. And really, really, really quite miraculous. So I think that's it for today. This is my favorite kind of conversation, because I feel brighter having had it. I feel lighter and more energized. And I hope that that's the case for you too, that in any moment, we really truly can source ourselves to the world of miracles that we live in. And rather than falling prey to normalizing all of that, maybe we get to cultivate the wonder and the awe and the magic, and that will carry us higher and higher. So with that, it's Friday. So I wish you a wonderful and miraculous day and weekend, and lots of joy. And I am so grateful to you for sharing this time with me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because these engagements with you really lift my heart and my spirit as well. And I agree with you guys. We are blessed, and it just takes putting our attention there to recognize those blessings, right? So Have a great weekend. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and I go live on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page every weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. And I invite you to please check out the wonderful programming on the Enlightened Network Facebook page, Enlightened World Network Facebook page. And I hope to see you again here soon. Thanks so much for being with me.